The ammo shortage of 2020 has been a wild ride, but it's definitely revealed some winners and some losers in sense of caliber when it comes to what's available or what's too expensive or what is impossible to find. So stick around for the rest of the video. We're going to talk about the top 5 winners and the top 5 losers of the ammo shortage of 2020. Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today we're talking about the losers and the winners of the ammo shortage of 2020. It's definitely been hard to get what you want, it's definitely been expensive, and it's been almost kind of fun trying to search out all the different types of ammo you want, but once you find it, it's even worth buying. Definitely a question you have to ask yourself. Ammo sales are up almost 132% over the same time last year from 2020 to 2019. Firearm sales are only up 95%. So those gun owners who existed before 2020 are just buying more ammo, and all the new gun owners, thanks to 2020, are buying ammo also, which in case created the shortage. And there's a lot of people out there that are still not able to get what they want. So if you're still searching for ammo and you're worried about preparing for things that are on the way and you want to make sure you have enough ammunition to get through what might come, hit the subscribe button below because you want to make sure that you're staying informed, that you're trying your best to figure out what you're going to do when it comes to buying your next caliber of firearm. Because sometimes when we see these shortages happen, you might actually learn that having a more obscure caliber might be a decent way to go, just in the sense of being able to keep training and keep buying ammunition during a time like this, okay? So let's start with the top 5 losers of the 2020 ammo shortage, which there are many, but 5th on that list is going to be 9mm. Now, yes, 9mm was hit hard right in the beginning. 9mm has become extremely expensive, and 9mm is still very scarce. However, you can still source 9mm. And now I'm using all these prices that I'm going to throw out in this video, as well as the availability based on things I was able to find online. But that doesn't mean it's the same situation you have as what I have, especially when it comes to what I have at my local gun store, my local big box stores. Being in North Dakota, things definitely got hit last here compared to in places like California or places like Texas or some of the bigger, more populated areas. So that being said, I'm still basing some of this on personal experience as well as what I can find online, so that way we can kind of level the playing field. Now, 9mm is number 5 on the list because it's jumped up to minimum at least 60 cents per round, which is out of control, because for a long time I was able to buy 9mm, especially just full metal jackets, for 20 cents a round. So it's gone up in price almost 3 times. And you get to a certain point where buying a box of 50 full metal jacket training 9mm for $39.99 does not feel very good. So is it even worth buying? That's a question you have to ask yourself. But it's number 5 on the loser list because we all know it's hard to find. We all know too many people have 9mm apparently, according to the shortage, for good reason, but it is still extremely popular, which made it extremely scarce very quickly. And that 60-cent price point, by the way, is for a case of 1,000. So right now you can buy 9mm online, but you have to buy in bulk. So you have to have the money to put up front. You can't just go buy 50 rounds like you used to be able to, okay? So moving on, number 4 on the list of losers for the ammo shortage of 2020 is going to be 7.62 by 39. Now 7.62 by 39, or generally what people fire in their AK platform rifles, is not the one that fell off right away. Of course, originally it hit 9mm and 5.56 very hard, but once it caught up to 7.62 by 39, it became a lot harder to source, and its price went up, okay? So it's generally considered a very inexpensive round, thanks to a lot of the Russian manufacturing that puts out the ammunition for a very good price point. But for brass cases right now, you're gonna pay around 80 cents per round, which for 7.62 by 39 is relatively expensive. So something to consider, because that's very expensive for an ammunition that's generally considered to be surplus and that you should be able to shoot and practice with without having to worry about breaking the bank, okay? Number 3 on the list of losers of the ammo shortage of 2020 is going to be 45 ACP. 45 ACP is right up there with 9mm in popularity for the handgun platform, and people love shooting their 45. It's always been more expensive than 9mm based on material, but it's also a very, very popular round. So right now, 45 ACP is running at least 50 cents per round for full metal jacket training rounds, and it's still very hard to come by. So if you can get 45 ACP, great, but you know it's costing more than it used to, and we also know that the defensive ammo is minimum $1 to $2 per round now, which is kind of similar to like 9mm. All the defensive stuff for concealed carry and everything else is very expensive and definitely not really worth buying right now if you have the ability to hold off on it. But for 45, you're talking $1 to $2 per box. Something, or $1 to $2 per round, not box. That would be awesome. Something to consider, okay? So number 2 on the losers of the ammo shortage of 2020 is going to be 5.56 or even 2.23 Remington. We can easily replace each other with them because honestly they're both gone, they're both hard to find, and they're both way too expensive now for what they should be, okay? They're going for about 57 cents per round in a case of 1,200. 57 cents per round, case of 1,200, okay? So think of that. You used to be able to buy a box of 20 5.56 NATO rounds for probably about $7.99, $8.99 a box maybe, even cheaper. Now you're talking for 1,200 rounds, if you broke that down into the idea of a box of 20, you're paying $11 or $12 a box. And if you go to your store and you find 5.56, which I've been able to do recently, which is why it's, you know, not number 1 on the list because somehow it's still around, but it's just way too expensive. I'm finding boxes of 20 all the way up to $19.99 a box, which once it comes to 5.56 or 2.23, is that worth buying? Things to consider, you have to answer that question yourself, okay? But number 1 on the list of top losers of ammo shortage 2020 is 300 Blackout. 300 Blackout has been just gone. It is not anywhere to be found, and when you do find some, it's expensive. It's at least going for $1 to $1.50 per round, depending on what you can find, and you can't find any. So I've even noticed that at certain big box stores, they've actually taken their 300 Blackout labeling off the shelf because they can't get it and they don't know when they're going to get it next. And it's hard to find online. And even if you do find it, like I said, extremely expensive, going for at least $1, but most likely $1.50 per round. And it is just impossible to get. So did I find some 300 Blackout recently? Yeah, I actually did. But is that because I have a local gun store in rural North Dakota that just happens to have inventory that nobody else has access to? At times, yes. So, just throwing it out there, 300 Blackout, probably the worst type of ammunition to have during this shortage because it is just nowhere to be found. And when you do find it, you're probably paying too much. That is my opinion on the top 5 losers of the ammo shortage of 2020. Now keep in mind, I'm not mentioning things regarding 22 long rifle or 12 gauge shotgun in this video because I'm focusing on center fire cartridges, and I'm also just considering like the level of popularity when it comes to certain types of calibers and certain types of cartridges. And when you talk 22 long rifle and when you talk about 12 gauge, the quantity of 22 long rifle and the vast different types of ammo you can buy for 12 gauge makes them hard to compare with some of the center fire cartridges. Is it hard to find buckshot? Is it hard to find rifled slugs? Yes, but is it possible to still find birdshot and turkey loads? Yes. So, and 22 long rifle, is it harder to get now or more expensive than it used to be? Of course, but did you have 10,000 rounds of it laying around before all this because it's that cheap and that easy to acquire? Maybe. So that's why I'm not mentioning those in this particular video, okay? I don't think they really ranked in the top 5 winners or losers when it comes to this shortage, okay? But you tell me in the comments below if I'm wrong, let me know, okay? So, who are the winners? What calibers should we all maybe consider as an option for any type of shortage that might exist in the future? This is what we should learn from this shortage, okay? What went first, what got too expensive, and what was still around to train with or carry or whatever it is that we plan on using it for in the sense of being able to access it. And we're still considering popularity. Yes, I can buy 460 Smith & Wesson all day long still, but is that a very popular cartridge? No. So we're still worried about popularity and who made it through the shortage even though they're in a lot of viable and popular platforms, something that we want to make sure we're covering when it comes to this topic, okay? So the fifth position of the top 5 winners of the ammo shortage goes to 7.62 by 51 NATO. Now, notice I'm not necessarily saying 308 Winchester. Now, 308 actually lasted a long time. You could find 308 for a lot longer than you could find a lot of those other calibers we talked about. However, 308's starting to fall down the same path as many of those other calibers. I assume a lot of people were building up their AR-15 ammo inventory and then moved on to their AR-10 ammo inventory afterward. Something along those lines maybe. But 7.62 by 51 NATO is still around. The reason for that is that a lot of people might not realize that a 308 can shoot 7.62 by 51 NATO and that they have almost the exact same ballistics and everything else, but yet 7.62 by 51 NATO is often found in surplus categories in the sense of being able to buy a lot of it for a lot cheaper than 308. And right now you can find 250 rounds of full metal jacket 7.62 by 51 NATO for $1 a round. So that's not bad, and yet it's still there. So I think it's number 5 on the list. Do I have some bias? Maybe, but it's still there and you can still get it, and it's still a viable, popular round that a lot of people run in a lot of different platforms. So number 5 goes to 7.62 by 51 NATO. Number 4 on the list. Number 4 is an interesting one, because if you still wanted to run your AR-15, but you couldn't get 5.56, you couldn't get 2.23, you couldn't get 300 Blackout, but you still want your AR-15 platform to run, and you still want to be able to buy ammo, well, 458 SOCOM would have been your best friend right now. 458 SOCOM is relatively expensive, and 458 SOCOM packs a wallop when you shoot it. However, 458 SOCOM is still around, and it's still an extremely capable round, and it's still in the AR-15 platform. So I put on number 4 because even all the rounds like 6.5 Grendel and a lot of other similar rounds for the AR platform are really hard to come by. Even 450 Bushmaster and 50 Beowulf were starting to fall off when it comes to availability. But 458 SOCOM is still there for you, okay? And 458 SOCOM comes in at minimum about $1.65 per round. So it is expensive, but it does have a lot of power behind it, and it has a lot of material, which always costs more. So when you consider the fact that a round of 458 SOCOM is going for $1.65 and a defensive round of 45 ACP is going from $1 to $2, then it's really not that bad in the sense of how high the prices have gone. And the best thing about 458 SOCOM right now is that there's still a wide selection and a wide variety of what you can buy. You can buy full metal jackets, you can buy hollow points, you can buy extreme penetrators. There's all types of different 458 SOCOM still in existence and still available right now. And it runs on a standard AR-15 lower. So keep that in mind, because honestly for me it made number 4 because when I was doing my research online I could actually find 458 SOCOM all over the place and for decent prices. Something to consider, especially if you're worried about having an AR in case of any kind of a long-term situation and you want to be able to run that platform, but you're not sure about the type of ammo that you might be able to get. This might be one, okay? So moving on from there, number 3 on the list of winners from the ammo shortage is going to be 10mm. 10mm has stuck around for a long period of time when it comes to this shortage, and 10mm is a great round, extremely effective, very powerful, and runs in just about any semi-automatic platform you can think of, including 1911s, Glocks, Smith & Wessons, all kinds of stuff you can get 10mm in, okay? And the best part about 10mm is that you can still find it right now. So 10mm is coming in at around $1 to $1.60 per round. Still not very inexpensive. It's definitely gone up in price, but it's available and you can get it. And 10mm has outlasted 9mm by a mile. So just something to keep in mind, 10mm is still on the shelf at many of the stores near me and still available online. So moving on, number 2, the top winners for this ammo shortage. Number 2, 6.5 Creedmoor. 6.5 Creedmoor is actually still available. It's still in my local sporting goods stores. It's still available online. It's still at a relatively decent price point. It goes anywhere from $1.25 to $2 a round, which is pretty standard for any high-powered rifle cartridge, okay, especially in the sense of hunting application. But the reason 6.5 Creedmoor is number 2 on this list is because 6.5 Creedmoor is also in a lot of the modern platforms that a lot of people like to run. It's even in platforms like the M1A or the M14 civilian variant. The reason for that is because it's very similar to a 308, except for it has what most would argue maybe better ballistics, okay? And it has a much flatter trajectory. And what's nice is you can get 6.5 Creedmoor in platforms like the M1A, but you can also get it in AR-10s, and there's a few other platforms out there that run it as well. So it's still a capable caliber that runs in a very wide variety of modern platforms that's still available right now. So consider that as an option. If you wanted to get a bigger caliber modern sporting rifle or something like this M1A, you can get it chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor, and it can still do an excellent job as being some kind of maybe a DMR for you or a hunting rifle, and you still have access to that ammo right now, even though we're in the middle of a shortage. So that's why 6.5 Creedmoor went to number 2 for me, okay? And I think that that's a reasonable thing to say, because the fact that it's still around and it's in all these different platforms is huge. Yes, there's a lot of really good hunting cartridges out there, like 270, for example, that do a great job of hunting, whitetail and everything else, but 270 doesn't often run in an AR-10 platform, okay? And 6.5 Creedmoor does. So, something to consider, and it's still around, okay? And number one on this list, and this is something that I have to concede, is just the way it is, even though it's not my favorite caliber, and it might not be yours. But 40 Smith & Wesson is still available today in the stores and online, and it's an extremely capable modern cartridge that runs in just about any semi-auto platform you can think of when it comes to handguns. Glock, Smith & Wesson, HK, everybody has 40 Smith & Wesson available, okay? Beretta does, CZ does, doesn't matter who you're talking about. There is a 40 cal version of your 9mm basically. And almost every major manufacturer makes them in the exact same package, okay? So 40 Smith & Wesson, not my favorite round for many reasons we can talk about at another time. However, for an ammo shortage, especially like this one, this is something you're considering in the future for preparation, and you're saying, hey, I want a handgun that I'm never gonna have to worry about ammo even if there's a shortage, make sure you have a 40 Smith & Wesson in your collection, because 40 Smith & Wesson is still around, and it's only really running at about 56 cents per round. You can get that right now online in a box of 50 for 56 cents per round, which I think is around $28 for a box, something around there. But what I'm saying is it's still available, you can still get it, and it's worth having because honestly, you can still go out and train, you can still go out and get all the skills you need to put together for whatever it is you're preparing for without feeling like you're shooting your stockpile, without feeling like you're running out of ammunition that you can't replenish. 40 Smith & Wesson is still there for you. It may end up being your best friend. So, these are the top winners and losers of the ammo shortage of 2020. This is my opinion. If I'm wrong about anything, leave it in the comments below. And if you want to add anything to the list, also comment below. I love interacting with all of you. I try my best to get you in the comments. And trust me, I read more of them than I respond to just due to time and everything else. But I do enjoy the ones that tell me about how wrong I am. So make sure you do that. And if you have any other questions about it, let me know. But besides that, that's going to be it.